So good morning, 5:20. I'm heading off from Ashburton to walk the monastic way that crosses from the east to the west of Dartmoor, from Buckfast Abbey to Tavistock Abbey. Wish me luck. I've got this little extra bit of walking to do, which is to actually get to the starting point of Buckfast Abbey. Wearing my sandals, it just felt easier to let my feet breathe, especially with the predicted heat, and also crossing any fords and stuff. I can just go straight across in these. Not have to take my shoes and socks off. Extra floppy hat too. Covered in sun cream. Yum yum. Yeah, so there's something else I want to pop in here, which is, why do I do this? What do I love about being in nature for extended periods of time by myself? Crossing the moor. Maybe we shall investigate that as I go. And one thing I've noticed on walking the roads is my real preference for open moorland. When I did the Two Moors Way, I really concentrated on the open moorland sections rather than the little leafy lanes winding their way through villages, and I think that's probably to do with the sense of spaciousness and stillness on the moors, a sense of release into the vast open space. So this is the cross that marks the start of the journey. Outside Buckfast Abbey, just over here, which you may not be able to see because of the tree, but next to the bollard, which is the second cross that's meant to have been relocated back to here. So it's quite a journey, 20 miles in a day across the moor, and I'm concerned about preserving my energy a little bit. But also, here's an opportunity maybe just to really release any tensions I'm feeling at all. Really sort of relaxing back into the walk, almost resting into the walk if I can. Use it as an opportunity to sense where there might be any form of tension and just consciously ease around that and soften around that. There's always pros and cons and balance. One of the advantages of having sandals on is that thing about fording rivers. One of the disadvantages is, do they provide enough support for the ankles? In a similar way with the lanes, walking the lanes, maybe not quite as scenic, but in weather like this it provides wonderful shade, so I'm sure later in the day as I'm approaching Tavistock along the lanes, I'll appreciate the lanes then and the shade they provide. Orson's Cross. The way across the moor for monastics was defined by these crosses, and this is the first one after Buckfast Abbey. This is the other thing about open moorland that I love. That's the stillness. It's palpable, it's almost physical, the stillness. Such an old way, and sometimes finding it is a little bit difficult. You almost have to feel your way. Where would they have trodden? Some of the paths have fallen into disuse or been used for agricultural use, and so been adapted and changed, as paths always do. And so I'm sort of feeling my way in the spirit of where the path would be. And so leading me down to the edge of Ventford Reservoir, or across the brook. So about 8:40, Ventford Reservoir, in the morning sun. And my way leads up this southern edge and then up to the ridge beyond. And the cuckoo's call is leading my way. So just taking a break, having something to eat. If you're wondering what I'm following, it's Walking Dartmoor's Ancient Tracks, which is Hemery's book. Hemery says that there's a cross setting near a couple of thorn trees 12 metres away to the north. 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 brings us to here. Now I'm not sure that that's a stone setting for a cross. I'm wondering where these other 2 thorn trees could be that he refers to in the guide. There's the stone setting for what I presume is Horn Cross. Just on the right there, just there. Moor Cross, or 2 Thorns Cross, as Hemery puts it. Stretch of the moor, this Haytor rocks in the background there, and then closer to there's Meltor, and then Sharptor, Cordentor in the background, and Yartor nearer. There's a sweep of the River Dart below us, and then the Tor over here is Coomstone Tor, and on our way is just there is Horns Cross. Really beautiful stretch of the moor. It's a stretch of the moor I know quite well, but once I got to Horns Cross, the next stretch onwards to Foxtel Farm, it's not a stretch I know, so I'm very intrigued by the next stretch after this. One sound of the moor to me is skylarks. Takes me right back to walks as a young boy across the fields to Sandwich Bay, with skylarks rising out of the rough grasses. So Horns Cross, standing proud beneath Holm Ridge. Tales are told here that it's pockmarked from rifle practice by American soldiers during the Second World War who were posted here. So here it is, Horns Cross. There's a little weir at Horse Ford, and that's the hill I'm just about to climb up towards Horsford Cross. Some of the ways are indistinct and you almost have to join the dots going from one cross to the next. This is Skier Ford Cross, and I've just come from Horsford Cross, but for a long time it was really indistinct path, and so just took a little bearing and trusted, and so I've ended up here. Just touching into that stillness again. Skier ford, splash of water as I'm traversing the ford here. What does it mean to get lost? There I was trying to give cows a wide berth so I wouldn't disturb them. Coming up from the second skier ford crossing, and I just couldn't see the crosses on Tur Hill, but sensing I'm not far off, and that's really interesting, that sense of being close but somehow not, and that sense of being lost but not quite, and the unease around that is quite interesting. And then eventually on the summit of Tur Hill, spotted east and west Tur Hill crosses, and this is the east one, and I don't know if you can see, but a little bit in the distance, just here, you might see just the top of the cross of the west Tur Hill cross. So this is east and west Tur Hill crosses. 11:35. Tur Hill West, with, you might be able to make out Fox Tor just beyond, and looking back to where I've just come from. If you see the cow is by Tur Hill East Cross. It's at the edge of the ruins of Fox Tor Farm, which lies below on this slope just above the Swimcombe River. Snakes through Foxtor Mires, Mount Misery, and beyond the radio mast of North Hennessy, Princetown. Across in the distance you might see Sharpie Tor and Leather Tor, which is which way we're going. So we're going onwards that way. Crazywell Pool is on that way, and this is Foxtor Mire and Mount Misery. Across. Yeah, so this area is famous being an inspiration, a literary inspiration for Conan Doyle. So beneath Fox Tor and Chill's tomb, there is this low-lying, slightly rich greeny area below. The little forestry bits, you can see the woody bits beyond is white works and old tin works. But this low-lying area here is called Foxtor Mires, and it was the inspiration for the great Grimpen Mire, where the villain of the piece in The Hand of the Baskervilles met his grim end. And so this is Foxtor Mires, inspiration for the great Grimpen Mire. I remember as a kid devouring the works of Conan Doyle, and Sherlock Holmes stories were just amazing to me. I had this wonderful illustrated copy of Sherlock Holmes stories. It was illustrated by Sidney Paget. The classic prints in them, and I used to go cycling off with some sandwiches and some fags and climb into this farmer's field and spend hours devouring sandwiches, fags and Sherlock Holmes. Quite heady nostalgia about that. Fox Tor with Child's tomb just over in the distance. The other thing I really like about coming out into the moors is actually solitude. And I think I've always enjoyed solitude, although never really understood that I did until quite recently. I do like a balance of being with people and then having time and space and room just to let everything settle. I find being on the moors really recharging, really enables me to touch into a sense of
being connected with the land in a really intimate way, and being connected to myself in an equally intimate way. It helps me open and soften a bit more, I feel. So the beautiful Swinkham underneath Fox Tor, on its way down towards Foxtor Myers, and to find a little suitable place to cross. So what a beautiful river. So Child's tomb underneath Fox Tor. Feels like a little bit of an old friend, this one now. This is probably my third visit here, I think. And my first was only maybe at most 18 months ago. And I remember feeling quite ominous about coming here because of the great mire beyond. But on a beautiful mid-summer's day like this, feels really beautiful and welcoming. Child's tomb. And just above Fox Tor. The cross of Child's tomb, according to Hemery, surmounts the cyst, which, according to tradition, the remains of the dead hunter Aeneas Chile were temporarily laid on. Discover. Fox Tor Mire and Goldsmith's Cross. Right next to Nuns Cross Farm, just ahead of us is Nuns Cross that's coming up, otherwise called Seward's Cross, just in the distance. I've been walking now, set up for about 5, it's now just about 1 o'clock, 5:20 I think I left. So I've been going 7.5 hours. And how am I feeling? Limbs are a little tired, but I'm managing to snack as I go, but definitely aware of the mileage in my legs. Maybe it's taking a bit more time than I thought I might do, but I don't think I'm doing too badly, and there's plenty of daylight, so that's not really an issue. Another look at Nuns Cross Farm. Inspirations for Stapleton's house in The Hound of the Baskervilles. And ahead, Nuns Cross, otherwise called Seward's Cross. So 110 at Seward's or Nuns Cross, with the farm in the background. So approaching Newlycombe Cross, Sheep's Tor behind, Barrator Reservoir beyond that, and then over to this side, Leather Tor and Sharp Tor. Lovely spot for a little cross. Newlycombe Cross. So, winning the prize for the most stunningly located cross on the monastic way so far, I give you Crazywell Cross. With the tours of Sharpie Tor, Leather Tor in the background, and if I wander round, Sheep's Tor and Down Tor as well, all overlooking Barrator Reservoir. And if that wasn't exciting enough, we're coming up to one of my most favourite swimming spots in the whole of Dartmoor, which is Crazy Well Pool. And it's about 2 o'clock and the body is aching. And one of the things it's aching for is a bit of a cool dip. So I shall indulge. We're coming up to Rigolette Lane, which is part of the forest area around Burita Reservoir, and it sort of marks the end of open moorland really on the monastic way. Still a few hours to go to get to Tavistock. It's about 2:30, so I'm hoping 6 o'clock, but we shall see. So here we are coming up to Riddicks Lane, I think is what it's called. So the entrance to Riddicks Lane and the open moor behind. Davenport Leat continues its flow above the Burita Reservoir, and there is Crossgate Cross, otherwise called Lowry Cross. I am at Lower Lowry Barn there, and I can't see a cross that I was thinking might be here. Ooh, Yanadden Cross. Looks like I missed Lowry, but I've got Yanadden. So I've reached a really beautiful church house that has Church House Cross next to it. It's just gone 4 legs, are quite tired now. I'm quite thankful it's got a bit cloudy, a little bit cooler, and a bit more shaded in the lanes. There is a sense with some of these trails that there really are ancient paths, ancient roads, purely by the old, you've got this mossy stonework on either side. The real sense that here was a really old bridleway. Huckworthy Bridge. So slowly crossing Huckworthy Common, and this takes me back. I'm waiting here for my second wind to come in. I've done a series of descents to a little brook or a river to cross, and then having to climb back out of a valley, and I am tired. And this reminds me of Delicho Lake in Nepal, and how the climb up there was a breaking point. After days of tracking the Annapurna circuit and dealing with altitudes and going up and down, I finally broke going up to Delicho Lake, sensing that I couldn't carry on, and verbalised it. And people were so kind to me, offering me a shot of fruit juice, water, whatever I needed. And something about their support and their warmth really held me, and even the allowance of allowing myself to break and say, do you know what? This is about as much as I can do. Suddenly gave me a new lease of life. And as it turned out, I led everybody up the last bit of Delicho Lake, the highest lake, mountain lake in the world. 4,000 metres odd. This is not quite like that, but it does remind me of that, of being tired. But it's a good tired. And that is a little bit of a prelude to finding ourselves at Huckworthy Cross, which I can just see across the way here. So here, Huckworthy Cross. And it's about 4:45 or something like that. I suspect I've got something like 4 or 5 miles to go. Getting there. This is Warren's Cross, which doesn't actually have a cross now, but Hemery suggests that one of the two crosses at Buckfast Abbey that we saw at the start probably used to be situated here. So I've reached that time to crack open the picnic bar. Dun dun dun! Other bars are available. Basically, I'm on the last page of the map. Yay! I think I've probably got about 3 miles to go, 2.5, 3. So, Pixie's Cross, which stands on the edge of a golf course. So moorland has given way to, in inverted commas, civilization. So this is Pixie's Cross, one of the last 2 crosses on the way. And that way lies Tavistock. And the last cross on the monastic way before Tavistock is Green Lane Cross. So the Abbey cloisters at Tavistock, marking the end of the journey. Very little of the original Abbey is left. Apart from this arch. So started off at 5:20, arrived at 6:30. Long day, but really enjoyable. I hope you've enjoyed my wanderings too. Thank you very much for watching. I only really have one question left. Since I left home in Ashburton at 5:20 and arrived here at 6:30 in Tavistock, how am I getting home? See you later.